start to tell about my personal point of view on North Korea and their human rights. So, as a Korean, my perspective on North Korea is deeply shaped by various factors in my life. One significant influence is my father, who dedicated 12 years of his life to serving in his army. And growing up, I was exposed to stories and experiences that shed light on the complexities of the relationship between South Korea and North Korea. These first-hand accounts sparked my curiosity and instilled a sense of responsibility within me to understand the issues surrounding North Korea, including human rights, national security, and the prospect of reunification. And furthermore, my time living abroad and attending an international school in Malaysia has played a pivotal role in shaping my interest in international relations. Being immersed in a multicultural environment, I had the opportunity to interact with individuals from diverse backgrounds and develop a global perspective. And this experience not only broadened my horizons, but it also allowed me to become fluent in 4 languages. And the ability to communicate effectively across cultures and languages, it deepened my fascination with international relationships, but in its potential for positive change. My interest in North Korea and international relations intertwine as I see the Korean Peninsula as a microcosm of the larger global stage. The complex dynamics between North and South Korea, coupled with the involvement of various international actors, highlight the intricate nature of diplomacy, security, and human rights. It is through studying these interconnections that I hope to contribute to creating a more peaceful and cooperating world. The issues surrounding North Korea are multi-faced and require a nuanced understanding. I believe that by delving into the complexities of human rights violations and the challenges of national security, we can work towards finding solutions that promote not only the well-being of South Korean people, but also the regional stability and global harmony. Let's start off with how Korean people think about North Korea. So people in South Korea have a very unique and personal connection to the human rights situation in North. As neighbors with a shared history and divided past, we understand the importance of addressing human rights abuses and striving for a peaceful resolution. The experiences of South Korean individuals, including those with family members in North Korea, shaped our collective perspective and drive our commitment to promoting human rights and improving the lives of our North Korean counterparts. But here is the perspective that demands our attention. Unlike previous generations, many Korean youths no longer view reunification as a necessary endeavor. The perspective of millennials and Gen Z have shifted away from the nationalist ideology and emphasis of blood ties with North Korea. And I believe it is crucial to understand their perspective and the reasons behind this shift. So for these young individuals who grapple with job scarcity and the unattainable dream of owning a home due to the skyrocketing real estate prices, discussions about reunification can feel like a distant luxury. In contrast, the generation in their 40s who experienced the 2000 Inner Korean Summit during their student years maintain a firm belief that two Koreas should unite as a single entity. Their positive outlook on reunification, it remains steadfast, rooted in the historic event they witnessed and the consensus they share. The foremost concern that weighs on the minds of the young Koreans is the economic burden that reunification would impose on the people. Many young individuals oppose the idea that the next generation themselves should be obligated to bear this burden simply just because they share a common heritage. The fear of shouldering substantial taxes and potential financial strain associated with reunification has given rise to strong opposition among the youth. Besides, cultural environment and differences, which have long been solidified, further exacerbate their apprehensions. The younger generation envisions a future where crime rates, security threats, and robberies could potentially increase due to these deeply ingrained disparities. So these divergence in culture and environment creates a sense of uncertainty and skepticism among young Koreans regarding the viability of reunification. But although in the face of these challenges, it is essential for us to explore potential solutions and address the concerns of young Koreans. So allow me to propose a few ideas that could help bridge the gap and foster a more positive outlook on reunification. So first and foremost, we must prioritize the enhancement of economic stability by focusing on sustainable economic growth, like job creation and income equality within South Korea. We can alleviate the fears of young Koreans regarding the economic burden associated with reunification. A strong and stable economy would provide a solid foundation for future endeavors. Now that we have gained insight into the Korean people's perspective on North Korea, let's explore how their views and aspirations intertwine with the actions and initiatives taken by the South Korean government. It is fascinating journey where public sentiment and diplomatic relations converge, paving the way for constructive engagement and potential reunification. So let's delve into the intriguing world of diplomatic efforts and the quest for a unified Korean peninsula. The story begins with the aftermath of World War II and the subsequent Korean War in the early 1950s, which resulted in the division of the Korean peninsula. Rebuilding from the devastating conflict became the primary focus, but the ideological differences and the war's aftermath created a deep divide between the two Koreas. In the following decades, sporadic attempts at dialogue and cooperation were hindered by political dynamics, security constraints, and a lack of genuine reconciliation. The North embraced a socialist regime, while the South pursued democracy and capitalism, further widening the gap. However, the early 1990s brought a turning point. The end of the Cold War and global efforts for peace rejuvenated the pursuit of reconciliation. Diplomatic interactions increased as both Koreans joined the United Nations and signed agreements outlining principles of peaceful coexistence and cooperation. A significant milestone occurred in 2000 when South Korean President Kim Dae-jung and North Korean leader Kim Jong-il held a historic Inner Korean Summit. They signed the June 15th North Korean Joint Declaration emphasizing peaceful reunification, people-to-people exchanges, and economic cooperation. Collaborative projects like the Kaesong Industrial Complex exemplified this newfound cooperation. Yet, setbacks and tension have marked the path towards reconciliation. The North Korean nuclear issue, political change, and leadership transitions often overshadowed the progress. The 2010s witnessed increased military tensions, nuclear tests, and missile launches, straining diplomatic ties and limiting cross-border exchanges. Nonetheless, there have been moments of hope. Summits between South Korean President Moon Jae-in and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in 2018 reignited dialogue and temporarily eased tension. Declarations were signed in expressing commitments to the denuclearization, increased cooperation, and the reduction of military tensions. Family reunions, joint sports events, and cross-border projects were followed as symbolic gestures. Looking at the present, the reconciliation and cooperation process between North and South remains a work in progress, and it encompasses the diplomatic negotiations, geopolitical consideration, and aspirations for peace and reunification. While challenges lie ahead, the desire for the united and prosperous Korean Peninsula continues to drive efforts, instilling hope for a brighter future. That shifts our focus from diplomatic endeavors to a more compassionate dimension as we enter the realm of humanitarian efforts and assistance. This realm has played a significant role in the relationship between North and South Korea, aiming to alleviate the suffering of the North Korean people and promote cooperation on various fronts. Despite political tensions and challenges, both government and non-governmental organizations have worked tirelessly to provide humanitarian aid to North Korea. One remarkable example is the provision of food assistance. South Korea has been a key contributor, stepping up during times of natural disasters and food shortages to address the humanitarian needs of vulnerable populations, particularly children and the elderly who are most susceptible to malnutrition and hunger. In addition to food aid, medical assistance have been a crucial focus. Collaborations between South Korean organizations and international humanitarian groups have resulted in the provision of medical supplies, equipment, and expertise to support healthcare services in North Korea. These initiatives have targeted critical areas such as the maternal and child health, infectious diseases, and emergency medical care. Moreover, humanitarian efforts have extended beyond the realm of basic needs. Non-profit organizations and civil society groups from both sides have organized cultural events, educational exchanges, and humanitarian missions, fostering people-to-people interactions and promoting mutual understanding. These initiatives play a vital role in bridging the gap between the two Koreas and building the foundation for future cooperation and reconciliation. However, it's important to acknowledge that humanitarian assistance can be influenced by political factors and constraints. The provision of aid often requires delicate negotiations, monitoring mechanisms, and considerations for transparency and accountability. Political tensions and security concerns have occasionally impacted the flow of humanitarian assistance, adding complexity to the important endeavor. Lastly, I would like to suggest action steps for the Korean government. The human rights situation in North Korea continues to be a great concern. Unfortunately, fundamental improvement in this regard have yet to materialize due to the close relationship between the issue and North Korean system. Resolving the human rights crisis in a short span of time poses significant challenges. Of particular significance is that DPRK's perception of international human rights norms as illegal foreign impositions aimed at destabilizing the ruling Workers' Party and undermining national goals. Consequently, expecting sincere efforts from the North Korean authorities to improve the human rights of its people is unlikely. However, we must understand that human rights are not negotiable. They are fundamental principles that underpin the essence of life. Moreover, the restoration of freedom and human rights of North Korea is essential for fostering a sense of national community and forging unity between the two Koreas. In other words, addressing the human rights situation and democratizing North Korea are crucial prerequisites for eventual reunification. So as Koreans shouldn't turn a blind eye to the human rights situation in North Korea. And also, the government cannot indefinitely rely on the good faith and voluntary measures of the North Korean authorities to bring out improvements. Instead, it is imperative for the South Korean government to take more proactive steps to internationalize and shed light on the human rights. The shameful thing for South Korea is that there are no provisions for rescuing and assisting North Korean refugees on North Korean Human Rights Acts of 2016. It is unfortunate that the act was enacted a decade later than its Japanese counterpart, while the Japanese government recognizes 14 Japanese official abductees. Korea have 78,000 prisoners of war, 150 survivors, and numerous descendants. These statistics shed a light on the urgent need for comprehensive action to support and advocate for the rights of those affected. As I conclude the exploration of North Korean human rights, we are confronted with a stark reality that slavery and atrocity thought to be consigned to history persists in our modern world. Reflecting on the history of human rights violations across the globe, we witness the absence of a comprehensive system that fully safeguards human dignity and harness the collective potential of all individuals. However, as we stand here today, we can make a difference. I aspire to be the one that takes a stand against oppression and advocates for the rights of every person in North Korea. May our actions today be a testament to our commitment to justice and compassion, with the belief that every individual, regardless of their nationality or circumstance, deserves to live a life of freedom, dignity, and opportunity. In the future, when we reflect upon the steps we took and the efforts we made, I hope we proudly proclaim that we have championed the cause of the people of North Korea. Our dedication and advocacy for their human rights will serve as a beacon of hope and extend to the lives of every man and woman, boy and girl who share the same rights as all of us. In the journey towards promoting human rights, let us strive for a world where the fundamental principles of human rights are respected and upheld, where no one is subjected to oppression or denied the basic freedoms they deserve. The path ahead may be challenging, but by working collectively, we can bring out the positive change and contribute to a brighter future for the people of North Korea and beyond. Thank you for listening.